The day she caught the human boy with a loaf of stolen bread. The alien market on planet Velmyra was loud and full of color. Tall alien merchants shouted prices. Silver fruits glowed under the sun. Strange spices floated in the air. And in the middle of it all, guards in blue armor watched everyone with sharp eyes. Sarah moved through the crowd with a proud walk. She was only 14, but her shoulders were already straight like a soldier's. She wore the black sash of a noble family. Her father was a war general. Her mother sat in the High Council. Sarah had always been taught one thing: humans were not to be trusted. Many humans had come to Velmyra after the last Star War. Most were poor. Some lived in the lower city. Some begged for food. Others stole, and Sarah believed what her people said. Humans were weak, dangerous, and dishonest. Until that day. It happened quickly. A shout broke through the noise. "Stop, thief! Stop him!" Sarah turned her head. A baker with flour on his face was pointing at a small figure running through the market. A boy, skinny, wild-eyed, and fast, was holding a loaf of bread. A human boy. 2 guards started chasing him, but the boy ducked under carts and between legs. He was small and clever, faster than the guards, but not faster than Sarah. She moved like lightning. She stepped in front of him just as he turned a corner. The boy slammed into her. He dropped the bread. Sarah grabbed his wrist and twisted it behind, his back pinning him to the wall. The guards were still far behind. She looked down at him. He was dirty. His shirt was torn. His feet were bare. His eyes, bright green under a layer of dust, stared up at her in panic. "Let go!" he shouted. Sarah tightened her grip. "You stole." "So what?" he snapped. "I was hungry." "You should have asked," she said. His face twisted. "No one gives anything to humans. We're just trash to you." His voice cracked. And then, his stomach growled. Loud Sarah froze. It wasn't just a lie. He really was starving. She looked at the bread on the ground, then at the guards coming closer. And something strange happened. She let him go. The boy didn't run. He stared at her, confused. She picked up the bread, brushed off the dirt, and handed it to him. He took it slowly, like he couldn't believe it. "Go," she whispered. He turned and ran, fast and quiet. Gone. Before the guards arrived, the guard stopped in front of her, breathing hard. "Where is the thief?" one asked. Sarah looked down the alley, then back at them. "He dropped the bread and ran into the sewer pipes," she lied. "He's long gone." The guards cursed and ran off. Sarah stood still, her heart beating fast. She didn't understand why. She had done it. That night at dinner, her father spoke of human crimes. "Filthy creatures," he said. "Can't even keep their hands off food." Sarah didn't say anything. She just thought of the boy's face, the sound of his stomach, the way he held the bread like it was gold. The next day, she went back to the same market. Not to shop, to watch. And sure enough, in the shadows near the old fountain, the boy appeared again. He wasn't stealing this time. He was sitting beside a little girl, younger than him, maybe 6 years old. They shared the loaf. He gave her the bigger piece. Sarah watched from a distance. She didn't approach him, but something in her chest felt different. That night, she stole a piece of fruit from her own kitchen and wrapped it in cloth. The next morning, she left it near the fountain. When she came back later, it was gone. But in its place was a small drawing made with coal. It showed a loaf of bread and a flower. Simple, but full of thanks. Sarah didn't know the boy's name. He didn't know hers. But from that day on, they shared a secret. She wasn't just the alien girl who caught him. She became the girl who saw him, and he was not just a thief anymore. He was someone worth watching. She watched him from afar as he learned to survive alone. 3 days passed. Sarah told herself she wouldn't go back to the lower market. She had duties, study, combat drills, noble gatherings. Yet every afternoon, her feet carried her toward the fountain near the edge of the alien city. And every time, He was there. The human boy, not stealing, just surviving. Sarah hid on a rooftop above a tool shop. From there she could see everything. Vendors shouting, drones buzzing overhead, guards marching through the square. But her eyes always searched for him. He moved differently now. Cautious, quiet, like a shadow. He stayed away from trouble, kept his head low. He scavenged through old crates, checking for scraps of metal, dried roots, anything useful. She watched him trade broken tools for stale bread. It was not enough, but it kept him alive. And always the little girl was with him. His sister, Sarah realized. Thin, quiet, never smiling. He fed her first. Always. Sometimes he went hungry so she could sleep full. One day, rain poured down like ice. Sarah stood under a ledge, dry. He sat across the square, soaked. The girl was shivering. He pulled off his only shirt and wrapped it around her shoulders. Sarah felt something hard twist in her chest. He had nothing, and still gave everything. That night, Sarah made a decision, not with words, but with action. She returned to the rooftop with a small bag, dried fruit, water, a wrapped blanket. When the boy and his sister left the square, she dropped the bundle near the place where they slept, in the back of an old shipping crate. She didn't wait for thanks. She just disappeared. The next morning, the crate was empty. The food was gone. The blanket was gone. But this time, there was no drawing. Instead, a single piece of metal had been left behind, shaped like a bird. It was sharp, carved with care. A gift. She held it for a long time. No one had ever given her something that wasn't required. Weeks passed. Sarah kept returning. She didn't know why. She left small supplies always hidden. Food, medicine, a warm scarf. And the boy kept surviving. But not just surviving, changing. He worked at a junk stall, fixing broken tools. People began to notice him, not just as a human, but as someone useful. He fixed a merchant's scanner, repaired a guard's boot plating, rewired an old vendor cart, all without asking for credits. He never looked up, never smiled, but Sarah saw everything. One day, her friend Rika, another noble girl, caught her staring from the roof. "What are you watching?" Rika asked. Sarah replied without thinking, "A fighter." Rika followed her gaze. "Him? He's human." "Yes, he's trash." "No," Sarah said, firm. "He's more." Rika laughed. "You sound like you care." Sarah said nothing, but her silence was louder than words. That evening, a group of older aliens cornered the boy near the alley. They mocked him, shoved him, said he was stealing from their turf. He didn't fight back. He never raised a hand, but when they pushed his sister, he snapped. One of them swung. He ducked and countered, quick and clean, not angry, not wild. Controlled, like a protector who knew how to hurt, but chose not to. He won, not with rage, but with purpose. Sarah exhaled slowly. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was becoming something stronger. She whispered to herself, "You don't even know my name, but you're changing mine." She meant the name others had given her, spoiled, cold, alien noble. Watching him, she didn't feel noble. She felt human. They met again when a riot broke out in the market. The sky turned orange over Velmira's city as the air began to heat, not from the sun, but from rising tension. For weeks, whispers had spread like wildfire. Humans are protesting. Lower districts are starving. The council cut supplies again. Sarah heard it all during her morning drills at the academy. Her instructors told her, "Keep your distance from the human zones. They're angry and desperate." But that afternoon, she was sent to patrol the market, right where the trouble had started. At first, everything looked normal. Vendors shouted prices. Crowds moved slowly between stalls. But there was something off. A strange stillness in the air, A quiet before the storm. Then, suddenly, a bang. A bottle shattered against a guard's shield. People screamed. More bottles flew. Someone threw a crate. Chaos. Guards shouted orders. Blasters were drawn. The market exploded in panic. Sarah ducked behind a vendor cart as citizens ran in every direction. An old alien was knocked to the ground. A fruit stall caught fire. A blaster hit a wall just inches from her head. She turned to run, and a crowd slammed into her, knocking her off her feet. Her helmet flew off. Her arm twisted, and then, a hand grabbed her wrist. Get up. She looked up. Green eyes, dust-covered face. Familiar. Him. The human boy. Older now. Maybe 17. Stronger. Taller. Still lean. Still serious. Still unforgettable. He pulled her behind a stone column just before a plasma shot hit the spot where she'd fallen. He looked at her arm. You're hurt. She nodded, breathless. He pulled a strip of cloth from his sleeve and tied it around her wrist with careful hands. Sarah stared at him. He was different now. Not the hungry thief. Not the quiet mechanic. Something more. And yet, he remembered her. You saved me, she said. Call it payback, he replied. You could have run. I don't leave people behind. They stayed hidden for 10 long minutes, waiting for the chaos to fade. When it did, he led her through the smoke, around fallen stalls and shouting voices. He moved like a ghost, fast, smooth, calm. He guided her into a back alley, then into an empty maintenance shaft beneath the city. She sat down, still shaken. He handed her water from a dented flask. Thank you, she whispered. He finally spoke. Her name. Sarah. She froze. You know my name? He nodded. I remembered your eyes. And the bread. Her heart skipped. You remembered all these years? He looked down. You were the first person who treated me like a person. That stays with you. For a moment, everything was still. Two people. From different worlds. Different species. Sitting in the dark, breathing the same air. She said softly, What's your name? Kyle. Kyle, she repeated. It felt right in her mouth. Strong, simple, honest, like him. A call buzzed on her communicator, her squad searching for her. She stood slowly. So, will I see you again? She asked. Kyle smirked. You never really stopped seeing me. She smiled. Then, climbed the ladder and vanished back into her world. But this time, she didn't feel like part of it anymore. She felt like part of his. He became a mechanic. She became a warrior in training. 3 years passed. The city of Velmyra grew taller, louder, heavier, and so did Kale. Now 19, Kale no longer lived in alleyways or ran from guards. He worked as a mechanic in the lower districts, quiet, skilled, respected. His hands were always covered in oil. His voice was still calm and few, but his eyes, still bright green, still watching everything. Sarah had changed too. She wore a new uniform, black armor with silver trim, a trainee in the elite defense corps. Her hair was shorter, her voice stronger, her movements sharper. But sometimes when no one was looking, she still checked the market for signs of him, and sometimes he was there. They hadn't spoken since the riot. Not really. A nod, a glance, a moment. But never words. Until her patrol skimmer broke down. It was late evening when her vehicle stalled in the middle of Sector 12. Smoke rose from the engine. She cursed and kicked the side panel. Need help? She turned and froze. Kyle stood behind her, holding a spanner in one hand and a tool belt around his waist. Sarah crossed her arms. You followed me? No, he said. I work here. You broke down. Near my shop. She looked at the broken skimmer, then back at him. Can you fix it? He shrugged. Depends. Can you stop glaring at me while I work? She smirked and stepped aside. He worked silently, fast and smooth. She watched his hands, steady, confident. It reminded her of the day he had tied her wrist bandage. When he was done, he handed her the power relay chip. You burned this. Too much speed. I was chasing a thief, she said. Did you catch him? No, she admitted. But I caught something else. He raised an eyebrow. What's that? Her voice softened. A reminder. Kyle blinked. Something passed between them. Again, quiet, unspoken. Before she left, he held out a small metal charm, a tiny, carved flower. She frowned. What's this? You gave me bread, he said, years ago. She took the charm slowly. Still paying me back? He smiled. I don't forget kindness. The next week, she returned, not because of a broken engine, but because she had questions. What's it like living down here? She asked. Cale handed her a glass of cooled root juice. Hard, but honest. You trust anyone? He looked at her. Only the ones who don't wear medals. She laughed. It was the first time he saw her smile, and it made him want to stay, longer than he should. They began meeting more often, sometimes for repairs, sometimes for no reason at all. They spoke about old memories, war, family, loneliness, hope. She told him about her pressure to rise in ranks. He told her about his sister, now in school because of his hard work. Each story pulled them closer, each silence felt warmer. But Sarah knew something was coming, something that would test everything they'd built. Her next assignment wasn't another patrol. It was a raid on illegal workers in Sector 12, where Cale lived. She was ordered to arrest him, but her heart refused. The order came in early. Sarah stood with her squad at dawn, armored and alert. Her commander's voice echoed through the steel chamber. Sector 12, unauthorized workers, human-run shops. You know the drill. Arrest and remove. Sarah's heart dropped. Sector 12, Cale's shop. She kept her face still like she had been trained, but inside her thoughts screamed, not him. Please, not him. By midday, her unit entered the lower district. Shops closed fast. Doors slammed shut. The people knew what was coming. Kyle stood outside his workshop, arms crossed, calm as ever. Sarah saw him first. He saw her too, but neither said a word. Her commander pointed. That one, he's not registered. Sarah stepped forward before anyone else. I'll handle it. The other guards nodded and turned away, trusting her. She marched toward Cale, blaster at her side. He didn't move. She stopped just a foot from him. They stared at each other in silence. Then she whispered, Run. He shook his head. No. You'll be arrested. I know. I'm trying to help you, she hissed. And I'm trying to protect my sister. If I run, she has no one. Her hands trembled. You don't belong on that list, she said. Doesn't matter, he replied. I'm still on it. Sarah looked back at her team. They were searching other shops. She turned to him again. I can't let them hurt you, he smiled. Just a little. You've already saved me once. If this is the price, I accept it. She pulled out fake cuffs, wrapped them gently around his wrists. Follow my lead, she said. He nodded. She led him slowly to the security transport. Her face was stone. Her heart was breaking. At the station, she went straight to her captain. This human is different, she said. He repairs city systems. He helps locals. He has no criminal record. Her captain raised an eyebrow. You speak like you know him. I do, she said. He saved my life once. He's no danger. I ask you to release him. Silence. Then, surprisingly, the captain agreed. Fine. Let him go. But if I hear otherwise, he's out for good. That night, Cale sat outside his shop, free again. Sarah joined him. He looked at her. You risked your place for me. I'd do it again, she said. He was quiet for a moment. Then he whispered, Why? Her answer came slow, honest. Because when I look at you, I don't see a human thief. What do you see? She smiled sadly. Someone I was never supposed to care about him but do. They didn't touch, didn't kiss, but sat close. And in the stillness between them, something stronger than orders was born. They reunited years later, and he looked at her like no one ever had years past. The stars above Velmyra changed. The city grew louder, bigger, colder, but some names still echoed through quiet hearts. Kyle was one of them. After the arrest, he kept a low profile, built machines, fixed systems, trained others. Slowly, he became more than just another human mechanic. He became a name known in the underground as someone who helped others stand. But he hadn't seen Sarah in nearly 4 years, not once, and yet he thought of her. Every time he saw kindness in someone's eyes, every time he held a wrench with steady hands, every time the wind blew soft across the market, and he remembered her voice. Sarah had changed too. She had risen through the ranks of the Defense Corps. Now she wore gold trim on her black armor, a symbol of command. She had power. But with it came weight. She never forgot the boy in the lower districts. She never forgot his green eyes, his calm voice, his choice to protect others even when he had nothing. Then one day, it happened. She was walking through the upper zone inspecting a new fusion tower, and there he was, wearing a dusty gray jacket, toolbox in hand, wiping his brow beside the, humming generator. Their eyes met. The crowd disappeared. Time slowed. Kale froze. Sarah stopped walking. Neither smiled at first. They just stared, like they were checking to see if the memory was real. Then she stepped forward. "You still fix things?" she asked. He smirked. "Only the broken stuff." She raised an eyebrow. "Then why haven't you fixed me yet?" He blinked, then laughed, soft and real. "I thought you were doing just fine." "I'm not," she said. "Not without you." They walked for hours that day. No guards, no ranks, no rules. They talked about everything, her missions, his machines, her fears, his hope. When she asked why he never tried to contact her, he said, "I didn't think I belonged in your world." She looked him straight in the eye. "You were the only part of it that made sense." Later, they sat on the edge of the tower, watching the stars rise. Sarah turned to him. "I missed you." He nodded. "I waited for you." She frowned. "You could have moved on." "I couldn't," he said. "Because you were the first person who made me feel seen." She looked away, hiding the heat in her eyes. He added, "And the only person who could look at me like I wasn't less." She turned back, voice quiet. "Because you were always more, Kale. More than anyone else saw." He smiled. And for the first time in years, she let herself feel the truth. She loved him not as a warrior, not as a noble, but as Sarah. And he looked at her not with fear or duty, but with something stronger. Devotion. She chose the human thief over every noble suitor. Velmyra's sky was blue that day. Clear, calm, as if the world knew something important was about to happen. Inside the noble tower, Sarah stood in front of her parents. Her mother wore the council robe. Her father stood tall in military silver. They looked at her with cold pride. "Your match has been selected," her mother said. "You are to bond with General Vorn's son." "A strong union," her father added. "It will secure our name in the next galactic treaty." Sarah said nothing. Her heart was not here. Her thoughts were with a boy who once stole bread and gave it away to his sister. That evening, the suitor arrived, tall, elegant, alien royalty. He bowed politely, spoke, with rehearsed charm, and offered her a golden necklace. Sarah stared at it, then said quietly, "I can't accept this." Her parents stiffened. "You will embarrass our house." She turned to them. "I'm not a symbol. I'm not a trade. I'm not for sale. and she walked away. She ran, down the noble steps, across the quiet plaza, toward the one place that had always felt real, the old workshop. Kyle was there, as always, hands deep in an engine. He looked up as she entered, breathless. "You're late," he said. "For what?" "For choosing me." She smiled. "You always knew?" He nodded. "I hoped." Sarah stepped closer. Her voice was steady. "I said no to a noble suitor." "Why?" "Because I found someone better." She held out her hand. "Still stealing hearts?" she teased. Cale took her hand. "Only yours." The wedding was not grand. No royal trumpets, no glowing hall, just two people, a field, and stars. She wore a simple dress, cut from her academy uniform. He wore his gray jacket, patched and clean. They spoke no vows, only the truth. And when she kissed him, the wind picked up gently, like the planet itself was blessing them. The girl who once caught a starving boy was now his wife. Years later, children would ask her, "Did you really marry a human thief?" And Sarah would laugh softly. "No," she'd say. "I married the bravest man I ever met." And in the heart of a city filled with power and pride, love grew from an alley, from bread, from mercy, from one moment of kindness, and that changed everything.